Now, so here we created an immutable list. So this is a list that, so if you go have a wildcard in your list, that means that this is going to be an immutable list, but you can still assign a new list to it. Okay. Now, so that means you can have a, for instance, down here, we created an array called numbers, which was a mutable list. So we can add numbers to it. Now, things we have said is an immutable reference. So you can have an immutable reference to a mutable list. Okay, so to verify that again, so we have things, which is immutable, and we have numbers, which is mutable. They're both pointing to the same list of numbers, let's say 1, 15, 27, 4,899. Okay, they're both pointing to the same lists. Now, if we access the list through the immutable lists or to the immutable reference things, you're not going to be able to add anything to it. If you access it through numbers, you can add to it, you can take away from it, so on and so forth. Okay, so you can have an immutable reference to a mutable object. All right, it's just all it is, it's looking at this list different ways. That's all it is. This is looking at through something that can't change it. This is looking at it through something that can change it. All right, I am. You don't have my beautiful face there at the corner, so I denied you that pleasure for today. Um, so now, so that means that this list is actually not fully immutable. All right, to make the list then fully immutable, what you do is you put it final. Okay, if you make it final, I can't reassign something else to mutes. So if I try to do this, you can't do it. Okay, can't reassign any mutes, whereas you can reassign things. Is that okay with everyone? All right, so can't reassign the mutes because it's final. So comment that guy out. Comment that shit out. Now, so we've already done this, but it's no harm to show you it again. So if I initialize a list, so this is a list of integers, numbers is equal to arrays as list. I'm going to add a couple of I'm going to add a few numbers: 44, 567, 99, 100, 1000, and 5. Okay, so if you initialize a list with a array, which is that what that is, okay, that's an array, that guy there. Okay, arrays as list takes an array, that's an array. All right, so what you're effectively doing there is you're initializing a list with an array. If you initialize a list with an array, you can't add any numbers to it, you can't take away any numbers to it. So if you initialize a list with an array, as we have done here, you can't add or remove elements to a list. However, we can change elements of the list. Okay, so if I go numbers2 dot add, try to add a number to it, Okay, it looks like it's worked. Hold on a minute now. What's numbers 2? Sorry. You get an unsupported operation exception, okay, which is a runtime exception. Okay, this generates creates a runtime exception, which is unsupported operation exception. Now, if I want to, so you can't add anything to it. You can't remove anything from it. So remove at index position 1. You get unsupported operation exception. Okay. So there's also this generates the runtime exception unsupported operation. Okay, so comment it out. Now, however, you can set. So let's say numbers 2 dot set. So at index position 0, I'm going to change 34 to 1. Million. Okay, that does compile. Okay, and to prove that it does compile, print out numbers 2. There it is. A million is added to the very start. Is that okay, everyone? Yeah. Okay. Now, you can't add anything to this list because the underlying structure of it is an array. And you can't add or remove from an array. That's why you can't add to this guy. Okay? If it's a list of wildcard type, you can't add, you can't remove, you also can't set. All right? But you can reassign a new array list to it. Yeah. So, and if you make it final, that means that's a truly immutable list. That's going to be a list that you can't add, you can't remove, you can't change any variables. Also, you can't assign a new a list or array list to immutes. Okay, that is a fully immutable list. Now, you would have to take care of each of the objects inside the immutable list. You'd also have to make them final. Is the easiest way to make them immutable. So this dog, you could make it final. This array list, you could make it final. Okay, strings are final, so you don't have to make that final. All right. Now, so there's only a couple more things to do with this. Now, so I already have an array called numbers. Okay. So if I go numbers is equal to new array list. Now, actually, I'll create a new thing. Sorry, I'll go list integer ints is equal to new array list. Okay, and I'm going to add some numbers to it. Ints.add all arrays.as list. I'm going to add numbers 33, 444, 555, 555, 6, 7, 7, 7, and 8. So what happens when you use add all? Okay, so let's say int dot add all. Now, add all itself only takes objects that implement the collection interface. Okay, now what implements the collection interface? What implements the collection interface is a list, is a set, and a map. Those three things implement. So a list, a set, and a map. Now, a list is an interface, but it extends collection. A set is an interface, it extends collection. A map is a interface, it extends a collection. Okay? So when you're using add all can only use maps, sets, and lists. Okay? You can't add arrays with add all. All right? What do I mean by that? So let's say I'm going to create an array. Okay? So I go, hold on a minute now. So I'm going to create an array of integers. And I'm going to call it integer array. It's equal to 44, 67, 88, 99. Okay, now if I go int dot add all, if I put in integer array, integerarray, that will not compile. Add all does not take an array, all right, because the integer class, the arrays class does not implement collection. Add all only takes objects of classes that implement the collection interface. In our case, it's maps, sets, and lists. Okay, so this does not compile. Add all only takes objects of classes that implement the collection interface. Okay, lists, sets, and maps. Now they're all interfaces, but I'm going to say they implement the collection interface. They're actually a sub interface of collection. That's what they are. All are sub interfaces of collection. So all of these implement the collection interface. So add all can take lists, sets, and maps. Okay, it cannot take arrays, which is a very common mistake people make. Okay, so instead add all integer array will not compile, right? Because integer array is an array. So what we do instead is we go ints dot add all. So we go arrays dot as list. So arrays as list takes an array. So integer and it converts it into a list. That's basically what it does. Okay. But add all can only be used on lists. Do we all understand that? Okay. It does not work on arrays. And I think actually I want to try something here for 1 second. So just give me a second. Just give me a second. So if I go, just bear with me a second here. Right. Right. We have something like that. See that guy there? What can you add to this list? I call it list some numbers equal new raised integer. What can I add to this list? No, that's the objects. Because this really doesn't set the type at all. The type has to be set on the left hand side. So believe it or not, this is a list of objects. Okay, now, so you can go some numbers dot add add in hello, pretty much there, yeah. Okay, so even to print it out, um, okay, so if you only have it on the right hand side, in that situation it does nothing. Now there is two situations where it does something, but we're not going to come across it until the very finish of doing lists, sets, and queues. Okay, it can lead to a situation. There can be situations when it's very advantageous to put that in, but in this situation here, it's ignored. All right, this is still list of objects. Type is not determined if you do not put in a type on the left hand side. Okay, so now if you do have an integer in here, if you do have an integer in there, and if you have anything else other than an integer in there, so let's say I put a string, you're going to get an error. All right, so the two of them have to match. But I'm going to take that out. I'm going to put in integer in here and put this guy in. Now you can't also have an empty diamond on the left hand side. Okay, you can't have an empty diamond on the left hand side. All right, do we understand that? You can have an empty diamond on the right hand side. You can't have an empty diamond on the left hand side. You can have a question mark, that'll cover you, but it can't be empty. Okay, now do you know what, that's everything covered. Thanks, Peter. Jesus, let me just see, is there anything else here I've missed out? Nope, that's it. We're all done. All right. Actually, there's one last thing. One last thing I'm going to cover. All right. So, numbers is an array of integers. Yeah. To prove that it is, there it is. Yeah. Is that okay? Now, I can reassign. Now, when we assigned numbers all the way up here, I said it's a list of integers. Yes. Okay. So up here. So we created this. We created this as a list of numbers. Okay, reference to a array list object. Okay, so that means its type is set to integer. Yeah, The type was set to integer on the left hand side. It was list integer numbers. To prove that it is, I'll go up here. It's there somewhere. Where are you, bastard? Okay, there it is. List integer numbers is equal to new array list. Numbers that add all arrays as list 12, 34, 77, 1 and 4. Numbers that add 4, 8, 9. Yeah? Okay. Now, so we can assign a new array list to numbers. Okay, is equal to new array list. Now, we've already seen this in the mutable class. Now, but that means that this was created as a list of numbers. Okay, I don't have to put integer in here. This is still numbers is a integer. It's a list of integers reference. Okay, that's a list of integer references. That's what that is. So if I put anything else in here, that's going to be an error. If I put in nothing, this array list is going to be an array list of integers. Okay, if I put in anything else besides integer in here, integer is fine. If I put in anything else, error. If I put in error. Okay, so once you define something as, once you give it a generic, you can't change it. Okay, so numbers, say here, numbers is a list with a generic of integer. That's in the diamond brackets. So it was like this. It was list integer numbers. That's how we create it. Okay. So this reference can only be assigned to a compatible object, i.e., if it's assigned like below to a new array list, okay, this new array list can only take integers. Okay, so if I try, I can assign only integers to it, numbers dot add. If I try to assign a double to it, I get an error because this is still an array list. Numbers can only point to an array list of integers. If you don't put nothing in here, it's assumed to be an array list of integers. Okay, if you put nothing in the diamond operators, the type is assumed to be an array list of integer. Okay, put in anything else besides a blank or integer and you will get an error and it will not compile. Okay, so that compiles fine. However, this doesn't compile. This also compiles fine. So the new array list integer, capital L, that'll compile fine. Put in anything else. Numbers is equal to new array list number, will not compile. All right. Now that's that shit done. Because we have said the generic, we have said the type of numbers, okay, was an integer, okay. So now, if it was question mark super integer, then that would work, okay, but it doesn't say that, so that doesn't work. So now I think, to check that this works, hold on a minute now. We will start again. Okay, it can take a broader range of things. Right, so there is sound on that one. This one is what's used. That's when we're going to be doing that video done. So I'm going to stop that. So I'm going to export this one as well.